Hello everyone, and welcome to part 2 of this discussion of Mario Kart World vs Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, it is just mainly a gameplay type video where I did 6 races of World and 6 races of Cross Worlds. So, if you guys want to watch that, please feel free to do so. You don't really have to watch it, because some of the gameplay will be on screen as I'm talking about this. So, we'll see what happens with that. But regardless, how is everyone doing? Name is James Akinelli, and like I said, this is part 2 of a discussion between which game is what I think is better between Cross Worlds and, well, Mario Kart World. And let me tell you, the games are closer than I think some people really let on to be, in my opinion. I've had that opinion even before I had gotten Mario Kart World. And well, I still have that opinion now. Not to say that things couldn't have changed. Obviously, I have a different opinion between what I feel like is the better game and like what I think is not the better game or whatever. That opinion 100% could have changed. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But also, where they are relatively to each other, I will say has changed. But with that being said, I want to compare a few things that I feel like are kind of key to this whole discussion, which should be on screen right now. Yes, I did this in like Google Slides. I don't really care to make a graphic like that. Either way, we're going to be comparing 5 things. It's the 3-lap tracks, so like the regular tracks. I only specified 3-lap tracks because that's what they're technically called on Mario Kart World. But like the regular tracks on Cross Worlds as well. Those are the 3-lap tracks. We're going to also compare intermissions and Cross Worlds, because those are the 2 closest, really, that you got to each other. We're going to compare the shortcuts. Shortcuts I'm not going to spend much time on. But shortcuts is one. Content. What you're able to do in the games, the tracks, and all that stuff. Like, you got that. And then the items are the last thing. But either way, let us start off with the 3-lap tracks. And the 3-lap tracks is very interesting, right? Like, I'm not gonna compare each track side by side. That's not what I really want to do. I just want to like put this here and kind of like explain how fun I kind of have with the 3-lap tracks. And if I'm being honest with you guys, the 3-lap tracks on both games are fun. Like, there's obviously some tracks I don't care for in Mario Kart World when it comes to 3-lap tracks. But the same could be said about Cross Worlds. I've made that very clear in my videos for Cross Worlds. There are just some tracks I do not care about in that game. And the same goes for, Mario Kart World. I want to say Peach Beach is one. Is it Peach Beach? Pretty sure it's Peach Beach. Where I never cared for it back when I played it on Mario Kart Wii. Never played the original one, or when it was originally released on a Mario Kart game. But I never cared for it on Mario Kart Wii, which is very close, if not the exact same to when it originally released. And now, I feel like it got worse. I don't know. I just don't know. I just don't like it. But then, you obviously have some tracks, like example Mario or Minecraft. Wow, if I can speak. Minecraft, not a fan of that one. I don't know why. I mean, Sand Road is another one. I don't know why Eggman Blizzard or whatever it's called. That one, never been a big fan of either. But, I think some people like it. I've just never been a big fan of it. But regardless, though, overall, I'm not gonna give points to whoever, because I don't really care to do that. But what I will say is I think both games have quite a few really cool 3-lap tracks. And they have some snoozer ones, I can't lie. But overall, I think they're pretty good. I really do think they're pretty good. But with that being said, next one is intermission versus Cross Worlds. Next thing we're comparing, and well, it's very interesting, right? Intermission tracks are the most controversial thing about Mario Kart World. There's no way, hands down, pretty much, most controversial thing. And it's weird with intermission tracks, right? Because intermission tracks, they can be cool. And I think they're at their best in Knockout Tour. Because that one makes sense. Right, to have all these intermissions, go from one track to another. And then, after you pass this gate, a certain amount of people get eliminated. Like, that's cool. And intermissions play very well in that. But, doing intermissions and worldwides from one place to another and then doing one lap of that. A lot of the animations just kind of suck. And the reason why I'm comparing them to the Cross Worlds is because the Cross Worlds are point A to point B just like intermissions. Obviously, it's a little different, but they're pretty much the same. And the thing is, and obviously there are some in Cross Worlds that you have some straight lines and all that. It just feels like the Cross Worlds in Cross Worlds, as opposed to the intermissions, are just overall a way more enjoyable experience than the intermission tracks in the game. Which I understand why intermissions are like the way they are, but Cross Worlds to me, they just are way better for the most part. There are obviously some intermission tracks that are good and that are better than some of the Cross Worlds, or if not, maybe all Cross Worlds. I don't know if I would say all Cross Worlds. I don't think I've even played every single intermission, if I had to guess. But there are probably some that you can possibly argue that are better than all. So I'll give you that. I'll give people that. But overall, Cross Worlds, way better. Plus, they only really take up one lap, as opposed to intermission tracks. I'm just saying, bro. Just saying. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, Cross Worlds, in my opinion, are just way better intermissions. I can't, like, again, as an overall, looking at it from a grander perspective, Cross Worlds are just better. Like, there's not much else for me to say on that. But here's the thing with shortcuts. Mario Kart World has, by far, the way better shortcuts than Cross Worlds. Don't get me wrong, there are some techie ones, obviously. The one in Coral Town. Yeah, Coral Town. That shortcut, as well as even the one that kind of got recently discovered in Crystal Mine. Like, those are very techie. But those are only really like a few that are difficult to Mario Kart Worlds. And honestly, well, I don't know. They do remind me of some like shortcuts from like older Mario Kart games. But the Mario Kart World shortcuts on 3-lap tracks and even like other ones, mainly like the 3-lap tracks are more so prominent. Like Bowser's Castle, Whistle Stop Summit. Man, those shortcuts are so techie. There's obviously even more tracks with very techie shortcuts. And that's part of the reason why I even got Crosswords, Mario Kart World in the first place, dude. Those shortcuts look so cool. It looks so cool. And I wanted to do them. You know what I mean? Like, they just blow my mind. And like the first times I've ever seen them. Crossworlds? Yeah, like I said, Coral Town, Crystal Mine. Those shortcuts are cool, but they're like 2. The other shortcuts are just cutting through grass. And like, yeah, shortcuts are not like the biggest thing when it comes to ranking a game and all that. Like, I understand that. But I feel like the shortcuts for Mario Kart World was just, I don't know, man. Again, it's part of the reason why I even got Mario Kart World in the first place. So that has to count for something on this. It might not be the biggest thing exactly, but yeah, that's all I have to say on that. But now the next one, which this is going to be very broad, but the content, right? And there's a few things I do want to discuss with content per se. The first thing is Mario Kart World, right? They have Knockout Tour. Crossworlds doesn't have that. They have it's an open world, right? Pretty much an open world where you can drive around. That's part of the reason why that's pretty much the reason why the emissions are what they are, because it's open world. All that stuff's cool. Very cool. Obviously, again, Knockout Tour, very cool game mode. Man, I wish they would have something like that in Crossroads, really. Like, that would be so cool. Like, a style like that is very cool. But again, that's just me. But, yeah, like, content like right there is really cool. But one thing that Crossroads does have beat Mario Kart World when it comes to content is DLC. They have DLC. Mario Kart World doesn't. Also, their character selection. Man. Like, I know Crossworlds has been collabing with, like, a bunch of different, like, people and companies and all that, right? They obviously have SpongeBob and Patrick, Mega Man. I mean, the most recent one they collabed with was Red from Angry Birds. They have a lot of collaboration. But even then, like, the base character roster including Hatsune Miku, which is just honestly kind of better than Mario Kart Worlds in my opinion. Like, I'm sorry to say, I feel like it is. Because, like, don't get me wrong, Mario Kart Worlds roster selection, it starts off strong with, like, you know, the normal Mario universe characters. But then you got some characters like Cow, Cheep Cheep, Swoop. Like, they're just animals. Like, I understand Goomba, but, like, why are we doing all these other random characters? There's obviously some other ones that are just very obscure. Like, what are we doing here, man? What are we doing here with the characters? It makes no sense. It makes zero sense. Why are we... Oh my goodness. Because it's weird. What makes it even weirder was, like, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's character roster. But yeah, there were some collab characters with, I want to say Link and others. But, like, there are some characters even that... Like, dude, Funky Kong? Where's Funky Kong at? Ain't here. Ain't Mario Kart World or Diddy Kong. Like, they ain't here. Like, you had a good character roster. You could have brought more of those into here, and you chose not to. Again, they brought in a lot. They do have, like, a lot of cool characters, obviously. And obviously one of these characters, Swoop, that I mentioned that, you know, kind of boggles my mind as to why they were kind of added, is the most popular character to use, most meta character, really, to use in the game currently. So, you know, there is that, but still, it's just, I feel like they could have done better with the character roster. And obviously, Cross Worlds, with all the collabs and all that, been knocking it out of the park. But also when it comes to the DLC and, like, partnerships and all that, Cross Worlds has since, from its release, which, by the way, it released after Mario Kart World, have gotten 4 new tracks. In which one of the tracks, by the way, which I'll talk about, has its own unique item, which is actually really cool. But like I said, we'll get to that in a little bit. Mario Kart World has not, which is unfortunate because honestly, they should have, going back to like the intermissions and all that, they should have added more knockout tour style intermissions to the game, right? Just more routes. Having only 8 kind of sucks, and by kind of I mean it really sucks. Very bland. They are not doing that game mode justice at all. I cannot lie. But regardless, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Crossroads definitely got them beaten in the content department when it comes to that per se. But I will also give Mario Kart World credit. Open World was a good idea, or I don't know, you could say it's a good idea. I don't mind the idea. That's what I meant to say. I really don't mind it. The fact that you are insensitized to, you know, interact in the open world and get like some of the question blocks, and I think there was like other collectibles. Good idea, right? I don't mind that whatsoever. It just felt like it needed a little more, and they haven't given it more from that perspective. And then also, I'm curious as to see how they do. Like, if they do add DLC tracks eventually, how are they going to add it to the map? Are they just going to build bridges to, like, other islands? Are they going to do that? Are they going to just add land on top of stuff? What are they going to do with it? I have no idea. We'll see what happens with that. But that's if they even do DLC. You never know. Hopefully they do. And hopefully, honestly, it'll be free. But it probably won't. But still, regardless, they are kind of lacking in that department a little bit. But that's just me. But regardless, final thing, items. Items, I mean, I don't know, it's just kind of a weird category. I will admit that. It's kind of like a weird category to talk about. But one of the biggest reasons why I even put that here is because of what I mentioned in the prior section. The unique item that got added to Mega Man's unique track. And that was his blaster, or whatever you want to call it. Right? Now, don't get me wrong. I think that Crossroads could have implemented that a little better. I wish it was just in the general item pool instead of, like, its own separate item box that you can only get that from. But still, it's a pretty unique idea, maybe? I don't know if it's a unique idea. I think Mario Kart World's probably done it before. Or Mario Kart in general has done it before. World has not. But I think someone's done it before. And I guess Sega really isn't the most... or... hasn't done something like this similar before, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless, so like, the items are just very much similar. Obviously, there is no shotgun crossworlds, which honestly is a plus because it just means less bagging. But they still got some damaging items. Again, I don't want to like really compare it too much, but I feel like in the items for category, I do have to give the edge over Cross Worlds over Mario Kart World. I do. But again, this is just like my opinion. There's no points or anything like that. At the end of the day, items to me are similar. You can tell Cross Worlds were trying to kind of replicate the magic per se of Mario Kart's items in general, because you know you have the drill, you have the laser whiz. I mean, the laser whiz is just kind of its like own unique idea. I don't know if it's much comparable to any other item in Mario Kart in general, but like the drill, it's a bullet bill. The monster truck, I'm pretty sure they added, unless it was added prior, but the monster truck, it's a mega mushroom. You have the whiz, which replaced the shoes, I guess, but they're technically like mushrooms. At the end of the day, they obviously work a little different, but still. And like, yeah, it just is what it is. Also, I want to make this is not part of any section, but I feel like front running is more of a viable strategy in Cross Worlds per se, because you can front run almost every track, pretty much. Well, not almost, but you can front run a lot of tracks. And not to say you can't front run in Mario Kart World, but it does feel like you're able to front run more often in Cross Worlds as opposed to Mario Kart World. Which granted, it is what it is. That's not something I really care to like quote unquote dock points from. That is just something that is interesting to me. But regardless, with that being said, the game I think is better is still Cross Worlds. I've been saying that for a bit, and honestly my opinion really hasn't changed. I think the games are closer than what I originally thought. But I want to say this, right? I want to say this. Mario Kart World's highs are absolutely higher than Cross World's highs. Absolutely higher. Like, not even a shadow of a doubt higher. Because of the like, it's so mechanical compared to Cross Worlds. You know what I mean? It's so mechanical. It's so cool. Like, the highs of it, man. Oh my gosh, they're just so cool. Like, I don't know how else to describe it, man. It's just so cool. And, like, Cross Worlds, it's not as mechanical. There's some cool things, obviously. You know, like the two shortcuts I mentioned. But, like, Mario Kart World's highs, man. It's just higher. The problem is, though, its lows are lower. That's the reason why I think Mario Kart Worlds is not as good as Cross Worlds. But at the end of the day, though, keep in mind, this is my opinion. I don't think any game is better than the other, objectively speaking. I really don't, because they're two different type of racing tracks, or racing games. That's the cool thing about it. They're both kart racers, but they're just two different, unique, quote-unquote perspectives, I guess? I don't know how else to describe it. Because one is like a track where you race on in lap 1, you go to a completely different track on lap 2, and then you come back to the first track on lap 3. In Mario Kart World, you have 3 lap tracks, so you can race on the same track for 3 laps. Or, you know, there's the intermissions where you go from point A to point B and then finish one lap on point B. But the thing is, like I said, man, the lows, which is pretty much the intermissions, just kind of kill it for Mario Kart World. It really does. Like, there is a reason why. There's honestly a reason why Mario Kart World is even doing as good as it is, and it's because Cross Worlds was so good when it released. Or, it was not that good, but it was good enough to where Nintendo realized if they did not actually do something, they were going to lose their player base. So that's why Mario Kart World, you know, is as good as it is. But that, again, that's not me knocking points off of it. I'm just still here to say that the lows are just too low for me. Because I don't think there's much lows when it comes to Cross World, and that's pretty much the reason why I still think Cross World is better. There's barely any lows. There might be some mid points or whatever, but like, and you know, like the only low I can really think of is like White Cave, because like, why the fuck does this stupid ass track exist? But yeah, like that is the yeah. I don't know. It's just funny. White Cave, I don't know why it exists. It sucks, bro. It sucks as a track. But regardless, though, like at the end of the day, man, the lows in Cross Worlds, there's not many, and as a result, I just think it's better. Not by much, but I just think it's better. Not to say Mario Kart World can't surpass that, though, but they need to change a lot, and it's difficult for me to imagine that they can really change the intermissions all that much. Like, yeah, they can change the water ones to make it more exciting. But, like, can they really change the ones on that island itself? Can they really? Because I don't think they can. That's the thing. Like, I don't think they're able to change anything from that, like, intermission soundtrack. And that's, again, where I think the lows are at. Not the 3-lap tracks. Which, granted, again, Crossworld's 3-lap tracks are cool, too. It's quite literally the intermissions. And that is the reason why I think Crossworld's better. I also want to say I also hate Mario Kart World's, and I meant to actually say this in the content section. I also hate Mario Kart World's section of the water section, excuse me. I absolutely hate it. Absolutely hate it. Do not like it. I actually think the glider and the water sections of Crossworlds are better than Mario Kart Worlds. Maybe I'm just used to it, because even though I don't really mind the glider sections when it comes to Mario Kart World, I absolutely hate the water physics and how you drive on water in that game, as opposed to Crossworlds. It just feels smoother to me. That and how you drift in Crossworlds is really cool, because you can just like drift one way, and then you can drift another way without having to release a mini turbo. But that's besides the point. Yeah, but man, the lows in that game are just what kills it for me. And as a result, that's why I think Crossworlds is better. It doesn't have many lows. It has quite a few. It has a few highs. Not as high as Mario Kart Worlds, but the whole game is. But the lows just kill it for Mario Kart World. That's all I can really say. But like I said, I think the games are closer than what people think they are. So yeah, I hope when people actually discuss this. Actually, first of all, let me know down in the comments what you guys think is better, or which game you guys think is better, Mario Kart World, Sonic Racing, Crossworlds. Because at the end of the day, again, this is just my opinion, but objectively speaking, both games are different enough to where you can't really make a direct comparison. You know, I am trying my best to do so, but it's just difficult to an extent because of how different they are. And at the end of the day, I do think they're both really great ideas. And there are some execution problems, really on both sides, to an extent, but still. With that being said, again, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. You guys agree with me? You guys disagree with me? Tell me your reasons why. I would love to hear. But with that being said, that is pretty much it for this. Again, I give it to Crossworlds. That could be biased, maybe not. But I really do just enjoy Crossworlds. But Mario Kart World, man, I do also enjoy. And also has 24 players instead of 12 players. Or just 12 players. I also give it that. But that's besides the point. With that being said, everyone, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this releases soon. Right now, I recorded this on the 25th of April. I recorded the gameplay footage a week or so prior to this. So we'll see what happens. We will 100% see what happens. But yeah, hopefully this releases soon, because I do want to get this out. But with that being said, again, everyone, final time, thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe, possibly, if you made it this far. I'm just saying, that would be helpful for me, because I don't know how often I'll make videos like this. Probably not all that often. It's probably the only one I make in the year, but you never know. But with that being said, again, final time, everyone, thank you guys so much for watching, and everyone, have a great day, great night, whatever it is when you guys watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.